Almost every man overlooks something important, even though it matters more than he realizes. And interestingly, it is something women quietly appreciate, even if they rarely talk about it. Curious? Think about this for a moment. You have probably seen men who seem to have it all together. They are good-looking, confident, maybe even successful with money and status. Yet somehow they still struggle to create deep, meaningful connections with women. Something just does not click, and they cannot figure out why. The reality is, attraction is not built only on appearance, wealth, or social standing. What many men fail to notice are the small, subtle behaviors that leave a lasting impression. These are not loud or obvious moves. They are quiet, powerful actions that often go unnoticed, yet they shape how a woman truly feels about you. And if you are listening to this right now, I want you to pause for just a second and be honest with yourself. Have you ever felt like you did everything right, said the right things, showed interest, stayed consistent, and still something slipped away? Maybe she slowly lost interest. Maybe the conversation faded, or maybe she simply did not feel as connected as you expected. If that has ever happened to you, you are not alone. And more importantly, there is a reason behind it that most people never take the time to understand. I am Mary Smith, and you are watching Mindful Senior Living, where we explore the deeper emotional patterns that shape our relationships, especially the ones most people overlook. Because the truth is, meaningful connection is not about trying harder, it is about understanding better. In this video, I am going to reveal some of those hidden desires women experience but rarely express openly. These are not the typical dating tips you hear everywhere. They are rooted in psychology and timeless human behavior, and when understood properly, they can completely transform the way women perceive you. Now imagine this for a second. What if you could connect with a woman on a level she does not even fully understand herself? What if you could stand out effortlessly without chasing her, without over-explaining yourself, and without trying to prove your worth? Just by knowing how to make her feel safe, appreciated, and emotionally understood. That alone would instantly place you ahead of most men. Here is the uncomfortable truth. If you are unaware of these deeper principles, you are already at a disadvantage. You might lose attraction that could have grown into something meaningful. You might miss out on a connection that could have stayed in her mind long after you were gone. That is why understanding this matters so much. And once these ideas truly click for you, especially the last one, the way you see attraction and relationships will never be the same again. Before we go further, I want to ask you something simple. If you are genuinely interested in understanding people on a deeper level and improving your relationships, take a moment to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share your thoughts in the comments. I read them, and I shape future conversations around what you want to learn. Your engagement is not just support, it is part of this journey we are building together. Now let's move into something most men underestimate, the quiet impact of touch before intimacy. Curious? Imagine you are on a date. The atmosphere feels right. The conversation flows easily. There is laughter, eye contact, shared moments that seem promising. On the surface, everything appears to be going well, but underneath that, something feels slightly incomplete. She is present, she is engaged, but she is not fully open. Later, you drop her home, you send a message, and then nothing. Silence. This is the point where many men unknowingly lose momentum, and they do not even realize when it happened. Most men believe attraction is built through words. They focus on being entertaining, saying the right things, or trying to impress with stories and achievements. But what they miss is this. Women do not connect only through conversation. They connect through emotional experience, through energy, through how they feel in your presence. And one of the most powerful yet overlooked ways to influence that feeling is through calm, intentional, respectful touch. Now pause here, because this is important. This is not about being overly physical or trying to create forced intimacy. In fact, that does the opposite. What we are talking about is subtle, natural, emotionally aware connection, the kind that feels effortless, not calculated. Let me give you a real-life example. A man once shared with me that he went on multiple dates where everything seemed perfect, yet nothing progressed. He was polite, well-spoken, attentive, but every interaction stayed at the same level. When we explored his behavior more closely, something became clear. He never created any physical presence, not even a simple, reassuring gesture. There was no bridge between conversation and connection. On the other hand, I remember a woman describing a completely different experience. She said, "It was not what he said, it was how calm I felt around him. When he hugged me, it was not rushed, it felt genuine, and I realized I trusted him." Do you see the difference? Sometimes, a light touch on the shoulder during a laugh, a brief moment of guidance while walking together, or a slow, comfortable hug can communicate more than 1,000 words, not because of the action itself, but because of the intention behind it. From a psychological perspective, this connects to something known as emotional safety. When a person feels physically and emotionally at ease, their nervous system relaxes. They become more open, more receptive, more connected. It is not something they consciously analyze, they simply feel it, and that feeling matters more than logic. This is why nonverbal communication often carries more weight than verbal communication. Studies in human behavior consistently show that tone, body language, and subtle physical cues influence emotional perception far more than words alone. So when your presence feels calm, respectful, and grounded, it creates a space where she does not feel pressured. She feels understood without needing to explain anything. But here is where most men go wrong. They either avoid touch completely out of fear of doing something wrong, or they rush it in a way that feels unnatural. Both create distance. The key is awareness. You have to notice her responses. Does she lean in slightly when you are close? Does she relax or maintain eye contact? Or does she create space? These signals are not random, they are communication. And when you respect those signals, something powerful happens. You begin to stand out, not because you are trying harder, but because you are paying attention in a way most people do not. Another important layer here is patience. We live in a world where everything is fast. Fast communication, fast attraction, fast expectations. But real emotional connection does not follow that pace. It develops slowly through consistency and presence. When you slow down, when you allow moments to breathe instead of rushing to fill them, you create something rare, a sense of ease. And ease is deeply attractive. There is also something else that happens when you carry yourself this way. You communicate confidence without saying a word, not the loud, attention-seeking kind of confidence, but a quiet certainty, the kind that does not need validation, and that kind of presence is magnetic. Think about it like this. When someone feels they can relax around you, when they feel no pressure to perform, impress, or protect themselves, they begin to associate you with emotional comfort. And that association stays with them long after the interaction ends. This is why sometimes a woman cannot fully explain why she enjoyed being around someone. She just knows she did. And that is the level of connection most men completely overlook. Now here's something I want you to reflect on. The next time you are in a conversation with someone you are interested in, instead of focusing only on what to say next, ask yourself, how does this moment feel? Am I present? Am I aware of her energy? Am I creating comfort? Or am I trying to prove something? That shift alone can change everything. And if you are finding this insight helpful so far, I want you to comment below with the word aware. not for me, but for yourself, because awareness is where real change begins. As we go deeper into this, you are going to start noticing patterns you may have missed before. Small things, subtle things, but once you see them, you cannot unsee them. And what comes next builds on this in a way that most people are completely unprepared for, because touch is only the beginning. The real shift happens when you understand what emotional presence truly means. You are starting to see something deeper now, because touch is only the beginning. The real shift happens when you understand what emotional presence truly means. Most men think presence is about being physically there, sitting across from someone, listening, responding. But emotional presence is something completely different. It is about how much of your awareness is actually in the moment with her. Not in your thoughts, not in trying to impress, not in planning what to say next. And here is something most people never realize. A woman can feel when you are not fully there. Even if you are smiling, even if you are talking, even if everything looks fine on the surface, there is a subtle difference she senses but may not even be able to explain. It feels like you are partially unavailable. And when that happens, connection becomes shallow without anyone consciously deciding it. Now think about your own life for a moment. Have you ever been in a conversation where the other person was physically present but mentally somewhere else? You stop feeling important in that interaction. The same thing happens in relationships, but in a much more emotional way. When a woman feels that a man is truly present, something shifts inside her nervous system. She relaxes, she opens up, she starts to reveal more of herself without being asked. Not because she is trying to, but because she feels safe enough to. And safety, emotionally speaking, is one of the strongest drivers of attraction. There is a psychological principle behind this called co-regulation. It means that two people subconsciously influence each other's emotional state. If one person is calm, grounded, and steady, the other person begins to mirror that state over time. But if one person is anxious, distracted, or trying too hard, that energy is also transferred. This is why some interactions feel peaceful and natural, while others feel slightly tense, even if nothing is wrong. Let me give you an example that might feel familiar. A woman once described dating two different men within a short period of time. Both were attractive, both were successful. On paper, there was no major difference, but her experience with them was completely opposite. With the first man, she said she always felt like she had to keep the moment going. She was constantly filling silence, laughing a little more, trying to maintain energy. Something felt slightly off, like she was performing. She said, "I don't know what he was doing differently, but I felt calm. I didn't feel the need to perform. I could just be myself. I didn't feel the need to perform. I could just be myself." And when people say, "be yourself," this is actually what they mean. Not performing emotional effort, not forcing personality, but allowing space for authenticity to exist. That second man wasn't doing more, he was doing less, but with awareness. He wasn't rushing moments. He wasn't trying to control outcomes. He wasn't filling every silence with nervous energy. He was simply present, and presence changes everything. Now let's go deeper, because this is where many men misunderstand attraction completely. They think attraction increases when they do more. More compliments, more attention, more effort, more proving. But psychologically, attraction often grows in space, not pressure. When there is space, curiosity grows. When there is calm, trust grows. When there is emotional stability, comfort grows. And comfort is the foundation of deeper attraction. This is why the most impactful connections often feel slow at first, but steady. Because they are not built on performance, they are built on experience. And experience is what the nervous system remembers. Now I want to introduce you to something very subtle but extremely powerful. It is called emotional pacing. Emotional pacing is the ability to match and guide the emotional rhythm of an interaction without overwhelming it. It means you do not rush into intensity, you do not escalate too quickly, you allow emotional moments to unfold naturally. For example, instead of jumping from casual conversation to deep personal sharing immediately, you let trust build step by step. Instead of trying to create excitement all at once, you allow comfort to establish itself first. And this pacing creates stability. And stability is something many women unconsciously find deeply attractive because it feels rare. Now, here is something even more important. Emotional pacing is not about strategy, it is about awareness. It is noticing when she is opening up and not rushing it. It is noticing when she is quiet and not trying to fix it. It is noticing when she is relaxed and not disrupting it with unnecessary intensity. Most men lose connection not because they do too little, but because they interrupt natural emotional flow with pressure, and pressure breaks trust. Let's talk about another layer that often gets ignored: energy consistency. Women do not respond only to what you do in a single moment. They respond to patterns. They notice consistency in how you show up emotionally. If one day you are overly excited and the next day distant, the nervous system registers unpredictability. And unpredictability creates emotional caution. But when your energy is steady, calm, and grounded over time, something very different happens. The nervous system begins to relax around you. She does not feel like she has to figure you out. She begins to trust your emotional presence. Trust is not built through big gestures. It is built through emotional reliability, and reliability creates depth. The woman feels it immediately, even if she cannot explain it. She feels safe in the interaction. Imagine a date where everything is technically going well. The conversation is good, the setting is nice, but the man is slightly nervous. He is talking a little faster than usual. When you are with someone you are interested in, are you trying to manage how they see you? Or are you actually experiencing the moment with them? Not because of anything obvious, but because the emotional rhythm feels unstable. One creates pressure, the other creates presence. One creates distance, the other creates connection. He listens without rushing. He pauses when needed. Emotional intelligence is not about saying the perfect things. It is about sensing the emotional landscape of the moment and responding with awareness instead of impulse. It is noticing when to speak and when to stay silent, when to lean in and when to give space, when to engage and when to simply observe. That is when real connection begins. Not at the surface level, but at the emotional level most people never reach. Not as someone trying to impress, but as someone who is grounded in himself. And that grounding is powerful because it signals something deeper than attraction. It signals stability, and stability is rare enough that it naturally stands out. And if you are still here with me, I want you to notice something. You are already beginning to see relationships differently, not as performance, but as emotional experience. And that shift alone changes everything about what comes next. Because once emotional presence is understood, the next layer is even more subtle and even more influential in shaping how attraction grows over time. These small decisions shape how you are experienced, and that grounding is powerful because it signals something deeper than attraction. It signals stability. And stability is rare enough that it naturally stands out. Before we continue further into what happens when emotional presence becomes attraction itself, take a moment and reflect. Because most people hear this information, but very few actually apply it in real interactions. You are already beginning to see relationships differently, not as performance, but as emotional experience. And that shift alone changes everything about what comes next. Because once emotional presence is understood, the next layer is even more subtle. And that is where we are going next. Once emotional presence becomes clear to you, something subtle begins to change in how you see relationships. You stop thinking in terms of, what should I do next, and start noticing something far more important. what is actually happening in the space between two people. And this is where most men miss the deeper layer of attraction completely, because attraction is not a single moment. It is not created by one perfect line, one confident gesture, or one impressive story. Attraction is built through accumulation, through repeated emotional experiences that slowly shape how a woman feels around you over time. And here is something most people never realize. She is not only responding to your actions, she is responding to how predictable or unpredictable your emotional world feels. Let that sit for a moment. If your presence feels grounded, steady, and emotionally consistent, her nervous system begins to relax around you. But if your emotional energy feels uncertain, inconsistent, or reactive, her system begins to stay alert. Not consciously, subconsciously, and this is where emotional safety becomes the real foundation of attraction. Now, I want to go deeper into something that quietly determines the direction of almost every connection: emotional leadership. Emotional leadership is not about control, it is not about dominance, and it is not about deciding everything in an interaction. It is about the ability to remain steady when emotions shift. Let me explain. In any interaction, especially one with emotional potential, there are moments of uncertainty. A pause in conversation, a shift in tone, a moment where you are not sure what the other person is thinking. Most people react to that uncertainty immediately. They fill the silence, they over-explain. They try to fix the moment, they rush to regain comfort, but emotional leadership does something different. It holds the space, not in a forced way, not in an awkward way, but in a calm, grounded way that communicates, I am comfortable here, even if nothing is happening right now. And that single energy shift is powerful because it removes pressure from the interaction. And where pressure disappears, connection begins to grow. Let me give you a real-world example. A woman once described 2 different experiences with 2 different men she dated. With the first, she said the interaction always felt slightly rushed. Even when nothing was wrong, there was a sense that the man was trying to keep things moving, keep things interesting, keep things alive. She said it felt like there was no space to just exist in the moment. With the second man, she described something completely different. She said, there were moments where we would just sit in silence and it didn't feel uncomfortable. It actually felt peaceful. I didn't feel like I had to perform anything. And that difference is emotional leadership. Not performance, not effort, but presence without pressure. Now let's talk about something even more important: emotional contrast. Human psychology is built on contrast. We understand feelings by comparing them to other feelings. Warm versus cold, fast versus slow, tension versus relaxation. In relationships, contrast is what makes moments meaningful. If everything is intense all the time, nothing feels special. If everything is light all the time, nothing feels deep. But when there is a natural rhythm between calm and emotional depth, connection becomes more dynamic. And this is where many men misunderstand attraction again. They think they need to constantly keep things exciting, but emotional intensity without grounding actually creates fatigue, not attraction. What creates attraction is rhythm. Moments of connection followed by moments of ease, conversations that flow deeply, and then naturally return to calmness. Emotional openness balanced with emotional stability. This rhythm creates something the nervous system finds deeply engaging. Emotional safety combined with emotional curiosity. Now I want you to imagine something. You are talking to someone you genuinely like. The conversation is flowing. At some point, there is a pause. Instead of rushing to fill it, you simply stay present. You observe. You are not trying to force anything. In that pause, something interesting happens. The space itself becomes part of the connection. There is no tension, no pressure, just awareness. And in that awareness, trust deepens, because trust is not only built in words, It is built in moments of silence handled well. Now let's go deeper into something most men never consciously think about. Emotional imprinting. Every interaction leaves an emotional imprint. It is not just what you say or do. It is how someone feels in your presence over time, and the brain remembers feelings far more strongly than facts. This is why someone may forget your exact words, but they will remember how you made them feel. Did they feel relaxed around you? Did they feel seen? Did they feel pressured? Did they feel emotionally safe? These impressions accumulate, and over time, they form the foundation of attraction or disconnection. Now, here is something powerful to understand. When a woman feels emotionally safe around you repeatedly, her mind begins to associate you with comfort. And comfort is not just pleasant, it is addictive in a subtle psychological way. Her mind begins to associate you with comfort, and comfort is not just pleasant, it is addictive in a subtle psychological way, because the nervous system naturally moves toward what feels stable. But if your emotional presence is inconsistent, the opposite happens. Even if there is attraction, it becomes unstable, because the nervous system cannot predict how it will feel next time. And unpredictability without safety leads to distance. Now let's talk about something very practical. That you can observe in real life: conversational pacing. Most men either talk too fast when they are nervous or over-explain when they want to be understood. Both come from the same root: internal pressure. But conversational pacing is different. It is the ability to slow down, pause, and allow space in communication. Pauses are not empty. They are powerful. A pause gives the other person time to feel what was just said. It allows emotional absorption. And when emotions are absorbed, they become meaningful. Think about the difference between someone who rushes through a story and someone who tells it slowly, allowing moments to breathe. The second person creates emotional depth without saying more words. That same principle applies in attraction. Now I want to bring in something even more subtle: emotional permission. Without judgment, pressure, or expectation. This does not come from words, it comes from energy. Without judgment, pressure, or expectation. This does not come from words, it comes from energy. When you are calm, non-reactive, and emotionally steady, you give her subconscious permission to relax. And when she relaxes, she opens up. And when she opens up, connection deepens. But when she feels evaluated, judged, or subtly pressured, she begins to protect herself emotionally. And protection reduces intimacy. This is why some interactions feel natural and effortless, while others feel slightly guarded, even if both people are interested. Now let's connect everything together. Emotional leadership creates safety. Safety creates trust. Trust creates openness. Openness creates connection, and connection creates attraction. It is not a single step, it is a chain, and most men try to skip straight to the end without building the foundation. That is why things feel inconsistent for them. Now I want you to reflect on something important. In your past experiences, think about the moments where someone left a lasting impression on you. It was not always what they said, it was how you felt in their presence. Calm, seen, understood, or maybe even slightly unsettled. Those feelings stayed with you longer than the conversation itself, and that is exactly how others experience you too. So the real question becomes not, what should I say next? But what emotional state am I creating right now? Because that question changes everything. And as we move into the final part, you will start to see how all of this comes together into something even deeper. Something that quietly determines whether attraction grows into something lasting or slowly fades away. And most people never reach this level of understanding at all, but you are already closer than you think. By the time you reach this level of understanding, something fundamental has already begun to shift inside you. You are no longer looking at attraction as something you get from someone else. You start to see it as something that is co-created through emotional experience, presence, and consistency. And this final layer is where everything either comes together or quietly falls apart. Because attraction is not just about starting strong. It is about what remains after the excitement fades, and what remains is always emotional memory. Think about it. Long after a conversation ends, long after a date is over, long after words are forgotten, what stays is how you made someone feel in your presence. That feeling becomes the real imprint. Not your appearance, not your achievements, not even your words, your emotional impact. Now here is something very few people ever consciously understand. Attraction does not disappear suddenly. It dissolves slowly when emotional consistency is lost. It fades when presence becomes unpredictable. It weakens when emotional safety is replaced with pressure. And it disappears when the nervous system no longer feels ease in your presence. This is why some connections feel strong in the beginning but don't last. Not because something went wrong, but because the emotional foundation was never stable enough to sustain depth. And stability is the key word here. Because real attraction is not intensity. It is stability that allows intimacy to grow over time. Now let's go deeper into something that quietly determines whether a connection deepens or fades: emotional reinforcement. Every time you interact with someone, you are reinforcing a feeling. You are either reinforcing safety or reinforcing uncertainty, comfort or pressure, ease or tension. And the nervous system remembers patterns more than moments. So if most of your interactions feel calm, respectful, and emotionally grounded, that becomes the baseline association. But if interactions feel inconsistent, rushed, or emotionally unpredictable, that becomes the pattern instead, and people move toward what feels safe and familiar, even in attraction. Now here is something important to understand. Many men believe they need to constantly do more to maintain interest. More attention, more effort, more communication. But in reality, over-efforting can sometimes create the opposite effect, because when effort becomes pressure, it changes the emotional tone of the connection, and pressure removes ease. And ease is where attraction naturally lives. Let me give you a real-life scenario. A woman once shared that she had 2 different experiences with 2 different men she dated over time. The first man was attentive, always available, always trying to show interest, but over time she began to feel slightly overwhelmed. Not because he did anything wrong, but because there was no emotional space. Everything felt constant, slightly intense, and emotionally full. With the second man, she said something very different. She said there were moments of connection followed by natural space. He didn't rush responses. He didn't force energy. He was present when he was there and comfortable when he wasn't. And she described that experience as calm but deeply attractive. That word matters, calm. Because calm is often mistaken for lack of interest, when in reality, it is one of the strongest foundations for emotional attraction. Now let's talk about something even deeper: emotional anchoring. Emotional anchoring is when a person becomes associated with a specific emotional state in someone's mind. If you are consistently associated with calmness, safety, and grounded energy, then your presence automatically triggers those feelings in the future. Even when you are not actively doing anything, that is how powerful emotional memory is. And this is why consistency matters more than intensity, because intensity creates moments, but consistency creates identity. Now I want to bring everything together into something simple but powerful. Attraction is not built in grand gestures. It is built in repeated emotional experiences. It is built in how you respond when things are quiet, how you behave when there is uncertainty, how you carry yourself when you are not trying to impress anyone. It is built in your presence when nothing exciting is happening at all, because that is where truth shows up. Now let's talk about something many people overlook completely. The difference between emotional impact and verbal impact. Most people remember what was said, but emotional systems remember how it felt. Did the interaction feel safe? Did it feel rushed? Did it feel natural? Did it feel pressured? Those feelings become the real memory. And when someone thinks back on you, they are not replaying sentences. They are replaying emotional states. This is why some people stay in someone's mind long after they are gone. Not because of what they did, but because of how they made the other person feel. Now here is the final insight that ties everything together. If you want to be someone who leaves a lasting emotional impression, you do not need to become louder, more impressive, or more intense. You need to become more grounded. Grounded in your tone, grounded in your reactions, grounded in your awareness, grounded in your emotional presence. Because grounded energy communicates something very rare in human interaction. Safety without effort. And safety without effort is powerful. It allows the other person to relax into the interaction instead of managing it. It allows connection to develop naturally instead of being forced. And it allows attraction to grow quietly instead of being chased. Now I want you to think about your own life for a moment. Who are the people you remember most clearly? It is not always the loudest. It is not always the most impressive. It is often the ones who made you feel something real, calm, understood, comfortable, or even emotionally seen in a way you did not expect. That is the real language of human connection. And once you understand that, you stop chasing attention and start creating presence. And presence is what people remember. Before we end this journey, I want to leave you with one final reflection. Every interaction you have today is shaping how someone feels about you tomorrow, not through perfection, but through presence. Not through performance, but through emotional awareness. So ask yourself one simple question moving forward. What emotional memory am I creating right now? Because that question alone can change the way you show up in every relationship you have. If this video helped you see things differently, take a moment to like it, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments. Your engagement helps keep these deeper conversations alive, and it helps others discover them too. And remember, real attraction is never forced. It is felt. And what is felt is never forgotten.